Tonight I wanted to do just kind of a different sort of video on a game that I played in my youth a long time ago. The game's called ActiveWorlds. Back in its day, it was a lot of fun. You could come on here, you could meet people, play games with other people within the game, so to speak, and it was just a way I spent a lot more time than I really want to admit. And to be completely honest, if I go to my information on my citizenship, I have had a total of 201 days, 21 hours, 18 minutes, and 2 seconds of online time, which is a little alarming. I started playing the game back in 2001, which it had been around for 6 years, and it had a pretty good amount of people playing the game. Um, there'd be hundreds of people online at a time in different, they had worlds. Each different world would have different themes. You'd have different people that could potentially be running the world. Some of them had games, some of them you could build, some of them were private. Essentially, think of it as like a 3D chat room, if you would. Back in 2001, I would have been a whole whopping 14 when I joined this game. And I made a lot of friends, to be honest. Um, in school, I wasn't super social and such, so to be able to meet people through the internet and talk to them here, and it was just more comfortable. Um, and I'm kind of still that way, honestly. I don't really socialize a whole lot in person. That's just how I am. But this is the original Ground Zero, as it is called. When you came in to, oh, see, the lag is terrible. Um, when you came into the world, this is where you would start off. And this is a world called AWGZ, which is a preservation of what the original first world in ActiveWorlds looked like. And as you can see, it's kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of individual creativity, I guess you could say. Um, Clearly, the coding for the game is not optimized at all. I have a 2080 Ti and a 3900, so any of the lag, it's not hardware based. I kind of wanted to make this video almost in a way to kind of preserve my memories of what ActiveWorlds was, because realistically, it may not always be around. Whereas, hopefully, in the future, YouTube is still a thing, or I could have downloaded the video. Because for the first couple of years that I played ActiveWorlds, I got a lot of fond memories. So this was the original. We can teleport to the new Ground Zero, which it will look really different. There's different effects that you can do with the game now that didn't exist back then, such as particles, as you can see in front of me. You may see other people in the world, which there are a few people here. And the graphics overall look a lot better. You have terrain that's not technically 3D. If you look at the different structures, so for example, even what looks like just a golf cart or golf cart, if it'll let me click it, is that's not a good example. Let's go to something that's more of a structure, like for example these. Make myself look bad already. Like these stairs over here. These are individual pieces that they've combined them to give that look of a single object. That's still not really a good example because these are some of the newer objects that have been put into the game. You've got a little example there of what they've kind of done, a very crude animation, but at its time this was fan freaking tastic back when they implemented something like this. Just having physics in the game would have been considered unheard of when it first came out. I'm going to see if I can fly over here someplace. There's a little bit better example of what. No, they've changed the old Ground Zero. Why they moved it is so they could make a better looking one. And as a result, they also cleared a lot of the old builds out of sight, I guess, to create the different, nicer looking zones. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go to one of my places that I built myself. Let's see. We'll go this one. This is in a world that is called ActiveWorlds, which was super popular back when the game was, you know, popular, I guess. And my movement's kind of glitching on me right now, so it's not letting me actually run correctly. Come on. It's literally not letting me run. Okay. Now, see, it's stuff like that. Like glitches like that in a game now would be like unheard of. So this is a house that I built, and this would be built in December 9th of 2001. It won't show it up on the screen there, but I can, because it will hide the individual windows that I'm popping up here, but it will show my name, my citizen number, and then when it was built. So I can see the exact day and even down to the time at 7:28 p.m. Yeah, see, now it's nice and smooth. Um, the houses, oh man, back in the day, this was actually pretty good, I guess, by then standards. Now it's looks pretty awful. Had a sad kitchen with a table that has way too many chairs, so I don't know what was going on there. Oof, the lag is painful. Good grief. But I'm going to step outside of my little place here and show this was actually the ActiveWorlds, the capital city, which was a project that they did where essentially you could apply for a little parcel of land, and that was where you could build. And it was controlled by the actual ActiveWorlds, which unfortunately is now defunct, as I found out after coming back. Apparently, there was some drama, and it ended up in a state where no one wanted to even take control or take ownership and maintain the world. So ActiveWorlds has actually, the company that owns, well, ActiveWorlds itself owns ActiveWorlds. Um, they've made it so that you can still go to the world, but you can't edit any objects, you can't move them. So even if it's my house, I can't physically do anything with it anymore. It's here, I can look at it, I can explore it, but that's pretty much it. One thing that I we'll go here first before I start talking about it. We had a program that would take a screen capture of the screen, but would upload it to a website, and you could set it to upload the images every 10-15 seconds. And what we did with that program is we would have one person kind of sit here. As you can see, there's a little camera on the screen here. So the person would sit here, and their screen would be the camera. And so the program would be taking screenshots, uploading them, and other people that are in the game could have a TV that would display that website image, and it would update. So what you could do is basically, if there were two people over here, or if there's someone on the couch and someone here as like the host, so to say, you could basically have a little dialogue going back and forth that would be scripted. You just have a notepad open up, and you'd be copying and pasting what you were going to have the chat be about. There were even we did some game shows and such, and it was fun. It gave something kind of to do other than just build places. You could actually build um, different studio sets where it could be really different looking. We had several people that did that kind of stuff with us. Let's see. Let's see. Price protest. Yes. So right now, ActiveWorlds is free, but back when I played, it was not. You could be what was called a citizen, or not citizen, a tourist. So if I hold on, let me change my view to a front camera. Right now, this is what I look like. Now, this is not how the avatars used to look. They used to look like. Oh, hold on. Let's get Rick. This is Rick. Rick was very primitive. You can see he's all pixelated on the textures. Um, his joints and stuff are pretty walking like he's got a stick up his rear. Just not a good time. But these were what the avatars used to look like. Now, if you were a tourist, you couldn't pick from these different avatars. You were limited to either Mr. Tourist. Notice how he has no face, no mouth, really sad looking, and a camera. Or you could be Miss Tourist. Same concept. But with citizenship, you could choose all the different avatars. Some of them, like the one that was on a bike. Yeah, not impressive by today's standards, but it could be an alien if you were filling up for that kind of thing. Now they have this custom avatar that you can actually go in and make it look a little better. The walking animations are still kind of sad, but they're better than what they used to be. Um, so this was the price protest, and let me change the view. That's going to bother me. What happened essentially is ActiveWorlds did two things. It used to be like a yearly price that you would pay, and they switched it to a monthly fee, and it went up significantly. And I lost a lot of my friends that were in the game as citizens because, we're 14, 15 years old. We're having to use our parents' credit or debit cards to pay for the citizenship. And if I recall correctly, it was originally like $20 a year, and then it went up to something like I think $6 or $7 a month. None of this is scripted. I'm not rating any of this. I'm just kind of talking as I go. But essentially, it got a lot more expensive, and it was a monthly fee. And a lot of my friends, their parents were just like, yeah, no, that's not happening. And, for a while, some of them would come on as tourists, but, just having the gray person. And the other problem with the tourists, well, there's I guess, two problems. Um, your name is not unique. So my name in the game is Wing Zero because I was obsessed with Gundam Wing at the time I started this. Let's say I came in as a tourist and named myself Wing Zero. Someone else could come in as a tourist and call themselves that as well. It doesn't save your name. You're just like a temporary existence. And I really wish it would show the property windows here. Um, if you were to right click one of the objects and go to properties to see who owned it, it would say owner citizen number 0, and it would say, does it say not a citizen, or does it say, I think it just says not a citizen, which basically would mean that if you built something, it wasn't safe. I could come through and delete a house that someone had just spent an hour building. And there was, excuse me, and there was no proof. And there'd be no proof I did it because it didn't keep records of any of that. So it was pretty common for tourists to have stuff vandalized, have their stuff just people not be nice because they thought, oh, they're tourists, they're not paying for the game, I can do whatever I want, blah blah blah. Well, the problem with that mentality is it actually kept people from really wanting to become a citizen because their first experience was crap. They tried to build something, it got destroyed, and they're like, oh, well, I'll just play something else. Um, where's another thing? This was one that I spent a bit of time on, again in AW18 of the world. And this was with my Final Fantasy obsession, namely Final Fantasy VII when it came out. And I tried to create a role playing game, which clearly it used a bot at the time, which is no longer running. But you could come into the different areas, and when the bot was operational, like when you came into the inn, you would heal. If you came into the shop, you could buy the different materials or the attack spells and whatnot. What else did I have here? Armory, I don't even think I ever added. Nope, didn't add any of that. AmandaBabe's Country Home. I feel like this door should click, but it's not clicking, so we're just going to go through. Now, like, when was this built? Because this looks pretty good by ActiveWorlds standards. 2002. So yeah, that sounds probably about right. Amanda was one of my friends that we were on ActiveWorlds a lot. Who's this one? Nikki, she was a friend also. Let's, of course, had to have music. Good old MIDI music. Battle Arena. This was kind of, if I recall correctly, this was kind of sad. But it was just a fighting arena where you could essentially really sad, like PvP, and it would only allow it in this specific, in the actual ring. You couldn't just go outside and randomly attack somebody because this was considered safe from PvP. Meeting hall. I guess I just made a hall to have meetings in. So that's a thing. Death Valley. Did I make this? I did. I think there was different mobs that would spawn when you walked through. But again, they have to have the bot running. For those who may not really have the same concept of what a bot was back in the day, it was a program that would run, and it would hold on. There's not music. It would look like a person. It could interact with people, but it was just a computer program. So the bot could run all the aspects of the game. It could handle chat relays. It could do. It could manipulate objects. It just took a bunch of programming to actually make it work. But this was a big project. Over here, actually, is more of the stuff from what I built and what some friends built back in the day. This was, I think, just a talk show TV set that I had built. Trying to get a little more creative with it and actually kind of, if you squint just right and kind of use your imagination, it might kind of almost look like some kind of a TV show set. You got the big fan and the audience chairs, since, I clearly had that many people ever sitting in the audience. Whoops, man, I'm so not used to these controls. So I would change this actual little button here underneath where it says on air when light is flashing, and it was set to where I could press a button inside. That way people would know, oh, don't come running through and when the recording's going on. Down here on the floor, you could see what was currently being broadcasted. I think it's over here. Yeah, it's over here too, at this desk. And it would also show it here so that the people that were actually talking back and forth could see essentially what they were saying when it got broadcasted to people. And if I hover over it, it says WZTV, because why wouldn't I just name it after myself? Why not? Let's see. That doesn't. That's from GameCube. Well, he abbreviated his name GC, but it was when the Nintendo GameCube came out, so that's what he was going for. What's this? Guy Incognito. This is another thing I built. I just don't know what it is. Looks like never filled it out. It's just empty. What else we have? Vornox. He was one of my friends. He built a lot of really cool looking structures. More like geometric builds. Because, like, if I go over here, for example, this roof, you can see where the different pieces actually are. So if you wanted to make more complex shapes, see, I have my whole super fancy cubes or rectangular prism, if you want to be correct. But it was much easier just to make a boxy shape versus try and do something that actually had more style, that looked neater. But it is what it is. We didn't really... That's back in 2001 still. Let's see. Another thing that I enjoyed a lot back in the day is laser tag. Because in real life, back in that time frame, I would play paintball. So what better way than to recreate the best I could paintball in ActiveWorlds. So you had your two teams, apparently cyber viruses and the humans. Okay, so in the bases, you had when you would spawn, if I recall, up here. Yep. So you could also stand down here. It was security post because you could just drop through. And the cheesy part about this was that from inside you can look out just fine. But if you go outside, oh no, you could see inside. I didn't make it cheesy. Okay. There are ways to make it so that it was basically like a one-way mirror, so you could see out, but someone couldn't click and shoot you inside. And that was like here. Like in front of me, it's dark, but I bet if I come in here, yep, it's clear. So you could click through just fine here, but if we were outside trying to attack the base, we couldn't shoot somebody inside there. It couldn't happen. Let's go over to the humans, who look like they have a little bit different base. It should all have about the same requirements. I just set it up differently, apparently. Walk in and click the booth to reload. And what it would do is it had, let's see. I forget how that actually worked. I can see that when you click it, it activates a noise, a gun click, which does not work anymore. That website is dead. And I really wish that ActiveWorlds wouldn't have died kind of the death that it has. It still is active. It still exists to this day. It's actually free to play now, so you could feel free to create an account and experience this awesome technology from the 90s, maybe early 2000s, while you can. Let's see. Oh, it made it so you can actually fall into the water. Because why wouldn't you want to fall in the water? Actually, I bet you can't be seen if you were in the water. I know the cave was like a hidden thing. Yep. You can go through the cave. Let's see. What other places? Neo City. What was that? Alright, so let's see. The people on this wall. Who do I recognize? I recognize Prisma Pup, Riley, Vornox, Rossi Boy, Cloud. Red 13 was actually probably one of my best friends, and he was one of the ones that couldn't continue to be a citizen when ActiveWorlds increased the prices. Unfortunately, that was before even MySpace was a thing, before Facebook. For those wondering what MySpace is, if you've never heard of it, think of a primitive Facebook that was sad. Clearly, I recognize myself. Mandy, Cloud. Notice Cloud and Red 13 because Final Fantasy was huge. Final Fantasy VII was huge back then. So this was apparently Cloud. Oh, Cloud and Red must have made this city. And this was the thing. Apparently, I had a glass house, so hopefully, I did not throw many stones. Who had this? Cubed. What is this? Someone was making a paintball arena. What's this? Squall. I don't know what he might have built there. So, again, I wish it would show it, but here is Red 13, one of his builds that he made. And if you right-click it, the objects, it'll come up a citizen number 331644, but then the name it said sit expired Red 13, because right before your citizenship actually expired, you could change your name at any time. So what some people would do is just change it to say expired and then what their name used to be, or a shortened version of what their name used to be. That way, in the event that they didn't say goodbyes, when you logged on and saw that your friends list now had someone that said Red 13 yesterday, and then today it says sit expired Red 13, well, you kind of knew what happened there. And that was kind of sad when people would go. Party games place. Some of these, I used a website that actually you can look up by your citizenship number, and in different worlds, and what it will do is it will scan the entire world, and it will come up and give you the coordinates of objects. Oh, excuse me, objects that you've built with. And what I was able to do is find clusters of objects around the same date, and that's how I've gotten all of these locations, because the different teleports or your different places, like a favorite of sorts for the game, your different favorites were stored in the actual software itself. So if I got on a different computer, if I had to reinstall Windows, they don't transfer. So you would lose all of your teleports, your favorites. So that website still being around was invaluable to actually make this even possible for me to find my old builds. This particular party place, game place that I had, there was a bot that you could get that would run a game of chess. So clearly I had a chessboard that was up here in the sky, because why not? You can see a lot of chaos down below and whatever everyone was building at the time. The lag. What else did we have up here in the sky? Of course, big dance thing because why not? I don't know what was in there. It's just empty. This was like a bar slash kitchen because why wouldn't I design something with a bar? I'm just gonna fly over here. I have no idea what this is or who made it. XIII. It's kind of fun sometimes, just kind of flying around. You'll see what people made. Like this is June 25th, 2001. So over 19 years ago, what people were building, what they were doing. It's just kind of interesting. So this was, I called it Party Place slash Games. What's the AW-Teen Party Place? I assume these speakers played music. Yeah, because if I right click them, they have you have a model name, which is what actually determines what object it is, whether it's a speaker, a wall, a floor, a flower. They all have different model names. You can also have a description, which in this case, the description is speaker. You can have an action, which whether it could play music, it could move, it could display a texture, a picture. And what I had was a bot that when I told it to play the radio, or it would change all of these individual speakers at one time to play the same music. So kind of broadcasting it all around. This apparently was, oh, there's your DJ booth with a oops, movement. This is pretty rough. So here the super primitive turntables are actually, you have a desk. This is actually a manhole cover for like a sewer, and it is set to create a texture monolith, and then it's also set to rotate, which is why it has the texture it does and why it's spinning. The record needle is actually a street sign that is sunk down into the desk. And then you have, of course, another street sign just to say, hey, I'm the DJ, hey. But that's when I was talking earlier about using objects to kind of create other objects, that's what I mean. AW-Teen, so this massive world, their slogan was for teens, by teens. So they actually, hold on, I'll go to the ground zero later. This was a roller coaster, which a friend was making like a theme park. So I designed a roller coaster. I don't know if it actually works. Let's see. Maybe not. Because what it would do is it would actually, when you got on the... Nah, it doesn't work. I never put in the push. What it could do is, like, once you got up onto the platform, it would you could set it up so there was an invisible object and it would push you forward to a certain location. So it would push you a little bit, and then push, and then push. It wasn't a smooth movement really, but we had not carousel, more rides, jet ski track. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, they did indeed try to make a jet ski track. These would not have been functional. They wouldn't do anything. They're just for looks, just to make it look like some kind of amusement place. This place is confusing. I wholeheartedly agree. Who built that? Sphinx. All Sphinx is confusing. Enter at your own risk. Challenge accepted. What does it do? Nothing. Okay, that's kind of a letdown, but alright. Shooting range. Click green buttons to start. Ah! So apparently you can't click all of them. Oh, wait, no. So you could sit there and pretend like you were shooting things. Click on targets to shoot them. 1 go per customer. Shoot all the targets. Oh, and the thing goes back up. So wait, if I click this again, does it reset the people? No. I could see how that would potentially be a problem. If I recall correctly, though, these are probably just, these are activate rotate, which means that they only rotate for the person viewing them. So if someone was standing here next to me and they hadn't clicked any of those, they wouldn't see them rotated. They would look like they were upright to the other person. Let's see. AW Team TV Studio 2. We've already been here. Laser tag. What is this? Oh, this one was old. Okay, hold on. May 22nd, 2001. So this is in AW, so like the main world. There's our awesomely named AFK house. So there wasn't a way to make like a, excuse me. There wasn't actually a way to make like a status to do like /away or /AFK. So, oh, I had that set so it actually pushes you inside. Okay. Exit will push me out. Yep. See, my hands are up, not moving. So that's what the push thing does. That's what the roller coaster at the amusement thing should have done. The Jumanji sign. This was the Peacekeeper sign. The Peacekeepers were basically like the police of ActiveWorlds. If you were breaking the law or the rules, if you were harassing people, they would basically teleport to you and see what was going on. They also, if let's say someone were to come here and let's say they came right to the edge of my grass and they built a big obnoxious sign that flashed all the different colors and it was really annoying, they could actually come and remove that because it would be considered like vandalizing. Let's see, what were the rules? No flying, no shifting, no cussing, be nice, with a smiley face. Go to the stat room, teleport thingy, that's very descriptive of how to play. Join a team, either red or green, go back up to main room, teleport, go to your base, and play. You can't see it because it doesn't show what my chat is showing down here, but there are actually people that are they're talking. There's local and there's also a global chat, and these people are talking in the global, so no matter where you're at in the world, you could potentially talk to people. So let's see. So our battlefield is that way. Those are your scores. So you could capture the flag apparently. Go to satellite. Why not? Oh, it's so slow moving you. Huh. Oh, and you can't move. There we go. When it's moving you, you can't actually move yourself. It will force you to go. You can try and move, but it's just going to happen. You got different obstacles or hiding places. These are probably the cheesy hides, where the ones down below, they have dark windows from the outside, and they're probably clear inside. Even the doorway is darkened. Yep, they're completely transparent inside. I could apparently sure create a cheesy set of bases. Let's see. This is probably one of my biggest projects that I've actually been able to find. So, as you can see, you have a bride and a groom. Yes, folks, back in the day, people got married just like they do in other games. You have people that would date in the game, and when you were dating long and you were serious with somebody, you would you would propose to them. Just kind of what happened. So I made all this stuff. You have, of course, the chapel, which actually, the church looks pretty good. When did I make this? August 16th, 2001 at 11:50 p.m. I was up pretty late. That is a Thursday. But I would have been on summer vacation. So that's how I pulled that one off. It's kind of funny. You can tell when I was searching for my objects and it was giving me the lists of all the different things that I've built. You could see when I tended to be online, and yeah, it was always nighttime. So I've been nocturnal for a long time. Here was the reception area, apparently. Had bride's friends. Like I remember Candygirl, Princess Amber. My name is down here, but I'm behind this flower pot. Let's see. I remember the Joker. Groom's friends. Candygirl, Carl Banks, remember him. And of course, and many more. And many, many more. So did she have more friends than him? Introducing the newest couple, AmandaBabe O and Matt O. Okay, so this will seem kind of weird. When you got married in the game, you would put an O at the end of your name, and that was to symbolize the wedding band for the marriage. Which, it is what it is, but that's what we did. Now, the problem with that is if you changed your name from Matt to Matt O, that meant that Matt, the name, is actually now available, and someone could actually take your old name. So that was a thing. Let's see, if you're away from the computer, please bring yourself over here. That way you'd be not standing out in the middle. Or I guess if you were waiting to dance. Music stand, because you have to have music. And so like these speakers, I just have to create sound. And geocities.com/wing0m2 in the end.mp3. So they were playing Linkin Park in the end. So let's see, we have the sit and chat room that is apparently the Patreon. Oh, that clipping, good grief. Oh, there's so many textures. Man, we were sure rocking RGB before RGB was a thing. Look at them couches. The makeout room. Ooh. Apparently alcohol was served in the makeout room. Can go over to the sleep room, and it's a room full of beds. I don't know what 15-year-old me was particularly thinking with this build, but yeah. So this was probably a large project that I undertook for Matt and Amanda. Of course, have the little car, just married, and pretend parking lot here. What's over here? This looks like paintball. All those little dots. Wow, this is pretty detailed. Let's see. So these flowers. Yep, Biggs killed by Cypher. Yep, there, it will show it on the screen. So the flowers actually represent where someone was shot in the paintball game. So all these flowers are for fallen people. The items over here, I think, are power-ups. Yep, red is grenades, green, frenzy, and blue was frenzy. So I don't know what the difference between those were. And I guess some of these aren't colored because those are regular boulders and they still say grenade. Who made this? AWT made this themselves. Okay. Oh, the lag. Because of all the flowers. We will be accepting paintball teams after the holidays. Huh. What do these pictures go to? Nothing. Okay, those don't go to any. Field is about 40 by 40. Merry Christmas from the core and all of AWT. The core was like the government. There were actually elections that would be held for the different positions with the government with AWT. Let's go ahead and teleport to the ground zero. Gosh darn it. Teleport to. Well, why is it not just going to AWT? Okay, that's better. So, the thing that's kind of happened that's sad with AWT, here you can see a overview of the road maps. Someone went through and tried to create a map that showed all the different highways and different named roads that existed. So this map shows all of the different objects and areas that are built in AWT. And to put it in perspective, right now, hold on, let's go to 0, 0. Nah, apparently it doesn't work like that. It's been a while since I've been on here. So basically we're almost at like the very center of the world. What's this? I think this was the AWT, was it? Because towards, when was this built? 2007, so this would have been not long before the collapse. Hey, look at the cars. Oh, that is awful. But and the rainbow RGB Rhino before RGB was a thing. So this is kind of a poking fun at they're calling "Don't Ask Me" guides. Back when AWT was actually a thing, they had the "Just Ask Me" guides, aka the jams, and you had the different teams. Like here, they're kind of making fun of the different people, and they would hang out at Ground Zero. And if people would come to the world and they would have questions or they needed help, then the jams were who would help you out or would answer questions. But I don't know exactly what all happened in 2007, but apparently, from what I've read, that's when things kind of fell apart between core not having anyone to run AWT. But let's start. Oh, the frame rate is so bad. I even have the limits turned off on the frame rate, and it is choppy. So right now we're at only 50 units away from ground zero, and I would say the sky is falling, but apparently someone's made something obnoxious here, which is the kind of crap that the jam guides would have removed. And this is why ActiveWorlds has actually locked the world down to where you can't build in it anymore. Because people doing crap like this, it just ruins the experience for people who wanted to come and check it out or relive some of their old memories, like I did myself. It's like a jail. Yeah. Huh. No. King. Okay. But I mean, this will just keep going and going and going and going. Really, really far. We're only at just under 200 units east. What kind of things we got? The pit is 152 meters in depth. Oh yeah, this is when they made it so you could terraform the ground. So someone made a really deep stairway underground. Oh, and the lag. Oh, oh, must move. It hurts. So I made like a village here. Knight and blacksmith. Yeah, like a. Oh, this is cool. People would role play back in the day too, and that's one of the worlds that's actually pretty active. Let's go to. I think it's Mystica. Is the name of it? No, it should be something completely different. No, this is. Yeah. So this has 5 people in this world right now. And this is a role playing game, if I recall correctly. That wonderful music there. But people have put a lot of time into decorating it. Maybe it's not. This is a cafe. That's not the role playing game. What about EW Myths? That has to be it. Yes. This one's it. It gets hard when there's currently 513 worlds right now online. It gets kind of hard, excuse me, to remember which one's which. It's like these are showing you the different commands. Use pickaxe, use fishing rod. They're all chat commands, so you'd have to type them in the chat. And then when you type the commands, the bot would process the commands and do whatever it was supposed to be doing bot stuff, I guess. Uh-oh. And one of the bots has talked to me. I must run. Run quickly. AWRPG? What's that one? I assume it's a role-playing game, since it's called AWRPG. I think this is one of the earlier ones because they have specific items that were kind of custom to the game. Oh, there goes a slow movement until things get loaded in. Please feel free to explore our land. Beware, it is large and can be dangerous. And you can do /GZ and take you to the ground zero. Let's see, Mars. We'll check out Mars just very briefly. This is a world that was controlled by ActiveWorlds. A very welcome to Mars. The different ActiveWorlds owned worlds had different items that you could build with. So they'll all have very different looks. You'll have spaceships in Mars to build what you think a colony might have looked like. Oh, it's so slow loading in. But Mars was never super popular. They didn't. Probably when the world first opened up. All of these are owned. Okay, so. Now, what's that? That's new. That uses particles. That was done in 2008. So what they've done here is like this main road is actually owned by ActiveWorlds, AWLD, a wild, and then there'd be individual plots that people could build in. So it kind of kept things organized. You could only build in your spot. That's interesting looking. They had to have redone this. Yeah, this is from 2008. 2008. So they redid Mars. Wonder if they did. Hold on. Let's check if Cough Meta is still. Yep. Welcome to Metropolis. Smile, Enzo loves you. It's like a metropolis kind of city when it lets me move. Someday. Maybe not. But essentially it was all kind of city skylines. The building was really limited with Cough Meta because I don't think they really intended you to be able to build much here. I still can't. I still can't hardly move. Trying. Come on. You're loaded. Why are you going so slow? Let's see if... I don't know if Gate is still running. Nope, Gate does not exist anymore. That used to be almost like a social meeting world. Oh, hey, I can move now, though. Javacade. Oh, these were different games that were actually written in Java that you could actually play in your... Whoops, it's going to bring up my web browser. And file not found, because it doesn't exist anymore. But they would just open up your web browser to play the different games. Oof, this looks rough. The Ether Zone. This is back in... Okay, some of these are from 2000. Some of this stuff is from... What was that? 1997. And now it's back to like kind of going somewhat slow. But you can see that you could build stuff, but it was pretty limited. Not so much building houses and stuff. Well, I'm going to go ahead and teleport to the new AW, Ground Zero. And I think I'm going to call it a night for this recording. And again, I don't exactly expect anyone to... See, we've got 3 people just hanging out here. Again, I don't expect anyone to really be that interested in it. I just thought it was cool because I actually hadn't played ActiveWorlds since probably 2005. So it got to the point where actually I didn't have access to my email address to even reset my password anymore. So I had to email ActiveWorlds, and I got fortunate that they actually were willing to reset my password. Well, they reset the email, then they reset the password so I could access everything correctly. Because it actually said that effective in like 2010 or whenever they made it free again, that they would not be doing that. Which means I would have lost my contact list as well as the ability to edit stuff that I've built in some of these worlds. But again, I don't expect ActiveWorlds to be around forever. Like here you can see in the last 24 hours there's been 225 active users in the last 24 hours. I don't know how it really records all that data, but for the most part, it feels like a ghost town. You know, it's 2:30 a.m. Eastern time, and there's still 54 people online.